In this next animation tutorial, we're going to look at animating with hierarchies. So we're going to work with AutoKey again. Before we do, we are going to go into the time configuration and we were going to set 175 frames. So I'm going to change my frames per second to custom 25 and set my end time at 175 and go OK. So I've got some boxes here set up, and one is going to be the body of the plane. We've got two propellers and we've got a central axis for them to rotate around. So I'm going to take propeller 1, and if I were to rotate that on its own it would be quite tedious, so I want to link it to the cylinder. So I'm going to turn on AutoKey and go to my final frame, and I'm going to, I've got far more frames than I intended. Let's fix that. Go back into my time configuration and set it to 175. Okay, AutoKey, final frame, and I'm going to rotate this cylinder for as many times as it should go in the frames allowed. Let's say we do something like that, and we've got an animated rotating cylinder. So in order to make the propellers rotate with the cylinder, we're going to use a hierarchical linkage. So I can take propeller 1 and I'm going to go up to the top of the screen here where we get this chain. That's select and link. I click select and link, click on the cylinder. I'll do the same with propeller 2, click on the propeller 2, click on the cylinder, and now the propeller is rotating with the cylinder as its axis. I can similarly parent the cylinder to the box, so I click with the cylinder onto the box. So now if I were to move that box around, the full linkage is set up, and that's a great way to save yourself time with animation. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to have some wings flapping as well. So if I create a box for a wing, something like that, let's call it wing 1, and we are going to make some copies, shift drag, and I'm going to make 2 copies. Okay, so we got wing 1 and we've got wing 2 and wing 3. We can do the same on the other side as well, but we'll just animate these first of all. So I want to set up a parenting linkage to make wing 3 link to wing 2, which links to wing 1, etc. And if you've got a lot of hierarchies in your scene, you might find it easier to go to the schematic view to set these up. So if I go up to my graph editors, new schematic view, we can see the various elements that are in our scene, including the parented hierarchy between the body, the cylinder, and the 2 propellers. I want to set up a hierarchy now where wing 1 is linked to the body as well, wing 2 to wing 1 and wing 3 to wing 2. So I'm going to take my select and link tool, link wing 3 to wing 2, wing 2 to wing 1, and wing 1 to the body, and we can close the schematic view. So I want to do a rotation animation on the wing, but if I were to rotate it as it is, I'm rotating around the central axis of the wing, whereas I need to shift its pivot point in closer towards the body. So the third panel in here is hierarchy. I'm going to click on effect pivot only and move that pivot point in to line up with our body. I'll do the same with wing 2, move the pivot point in to line up with wing 1, and wing 3 in to line up with wing 2, and close my effect pivot only. So now I'm going to go to AutoKey. I'm at frame 0, and I'm going to do an animation on the wing flap here. So let's rotate it, or maybe I'll rotate it by a value. So depending on which axis that I'm rotating on, so that's the X in this case, the Y is going like this. So I'm going to rotate it up, say 30 degrees. Now I'll do it on absolute here, so I'll type in 30. In the absolute world it goes up 30. That's my starting point. I'm going to go 15 frames in, and I'm going to set that down to -30. Okay, and I want to now make that a little bit more interesting. So as well as having the wing flap with the first wing part, let's go to the 15 frame marker, and we're going to take the wing 2 down something like this. Let's say, again, I'm going to be accurate about it. Right click, and I'm going to say we're going to take it down to -50. So we're getting a bit of a curve. Let's take this one, and we're going to say take it down to -70. And we're getting a bit of a curve in our wing flap. So now that animation is going up and down. Let's go to the first frame and do something similar. So I'm going to take the wing 2, and let's just drag it up to about -50, or about 50, sorry, and this one about 70. And we can fine tune that a little bit afterwards. So that gets us a nice wing flap. We don't want to have to repeat that wing flap again and again and move our keyframes. So obviously we need to have a loop going on. So let's select the 3 wings, and we're going to bring up our curve editor. And with the curve editor, I'm just going to right click, and I'm going to on the top bar up here, right click, select dock and top. That will dock my curve editor to the top of the screen. And I'm also going to now click on my frame extents buttons for the curves, and we can now see the curves. So let's say there's wing 1, and we can see we've got our curve. In this case, I'm happy enough with that easy ease, so I'm going to leave it as it is. But I want it to loop. So if I select the 3 wings, so I've got the, let's select the 3 wings and frame all 3 here. So we've got our animation set up for these. So I want to now make the animation loop. So with the keyframe selected, I'm going to go to Edit, Controller, Out of Range Types. And I get a few different options for looping. If I was looping and I had animated a wing up and then wing down, I could just click on Loop. As I've just animated a single wing flap, I'm going to click on Ping Pong. So select Ping Pong and go OK. And now if I play my animation, I've got a nice flapping wing flap, and we can see in our curve editor there that it's showing up quite nicely. I'm going to click on Close the mini curve editor, and oops, let's just undo that. I'm going to close. Okay, that's better. So let's now link our wing flap to the body. So they're already hierarchically linked, so all I need to do to animate the animation is to take the body, turn on auto key, and go to the final frame. I'm going to move it across and upwards like that. And if we play our animation now, we've got complex animation with wing flap and propeller. Let's maybe go in and do a final tweak to make that propeller go more quickly. Select the cylinder, go to Auto Key, we go to that final frame, and we're going to do a lot more rotations on it. Something like that. Player animation. And you can see how we're going. Oh, I think, yeah, that's the, I put in an extra keyframe there by mistake. So you just got to be careful with where you place your keyframes. So our final one, so we're rotating this direction. So our final position should be something like that. That will give us a nice animation.